Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Haslett City Council on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024 at 5:33 p.m. There is a quorum present. I know it's not on here, but we do have a speaking request. Miss Annette Lee, please come up. If you would turn on your mic and state your name and address, please.
My name is Annette Lee, and it's 100 Main Street on the Haslett Feed and Farm Market. I'm here today regarding the agenda that you guys are going to talk about today about your farmers market and community farm and garden. I'm just here to let you guys know a little bit about me. Of course, you know, we've had the farmers market across the street since 2014, which you guys were more than generous to allow us to bring to your city. I feel like it's been a great journey for my company, myself, and the community. Also, I'm a Tarrant County Master Gardener since 2006 and a vegetable gardener specialist. My deep roots run deep in Tarrant County. I have helped form a community garden in Bedford with Six Stones Mission Network. It was a 72-plot community garden that I ran for 5 years as my Master Gardener project in Tarrant County. It was a certified project. Also, Common Ground Community Garden in North Richland Hills. I support that through my other business location, the North Richland Hills Farmers Market, and have since its inception. What you guys are bringing to talk about tonight is something that I feel would be good for your community, and community support would definitely be in the positive for that. But my concern is that the business that I have across the street that I've built in the last 10 years as a partnership with the city, and that the city has allowed me to purchase property, and that I've really spent a lot of money, time, and effort, would maybe be it would be a detriment to my business without some type of collaboration or some type of consideration for where we're at here in the city as an economic draw for the city. So I just wanted to let someone know about that as I come to talk today. So thank you.
Very good. And Ms. Lee did attend the EcoB meeting, and we did speak afterwards and exchanged numbers, and fully intend. She has a lot of experience and resource that can lend to this, and look forward to working with you. Very good. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? All right then. Let's go to action item 2A. Discuss, consider, and act on a resolution in support of a farmers market and community teaching gardens pavilion. The resolution will be included in the funding request being submitted to Congresswoman Kay Granger for congressional appropriation funds for this project. And if you could go ahead and bring up slide number 1. One of the things I do recall, having read this, I recall that in the 2016 comprehensive plan, and there was a lot of community input on this plan. Next slide. This was one of the goals, and I highlighted some things that were, I'll say, particular to this proposal here of Farmers Market Community Teaching Garden. A built-in environment conducive to healthy living. Strategy support the incorporation of community gardens into existing and new development or park. Encourage development in programs that strengthen community connection. Provide or partner with public and private entities to provide activities and facilities that promote a connected and healthy community. And educational seminars, workshops, and other types of classes that promote lifelong learning for all types of ages. gardening, cooking, healthy eating, fitness, etc. Um, Council, this type of project here does address all of those. You know, something unique about it, an open air market. Um, it is a community draw, and it is I thought about it, it's a neutral site where people come and look at the goods, and buy their produce or artisan products, or maybe something from the cottage industry, bakers or something of that nature. But they get to meet each other. We're not so prone to do that while I'm in Kroger. But and about we have all these different folks have moved into Haslett, as well as the larger area, and they each have their own culture, but cultures from different nations are here, and that to me is that neutral spot, and that fosters those connecting cultures and learning of each other. But nonetheless, we could go on to the next slide. But again, I want to make a point. This was highlighted, and this is out of that comp plan. Next slide. That this is in direct on that. No, I've been out and around, and it is a high desire still today. Nonetheless, here's Haslett, our red line boundaries, inclusive of our ETJ. We're 12 square miles. The roadway system on the north is 114. There's 287 on the east, I-35 on the west. That's 54 square miles. Within that 54 square miles, other than Miss Lee's store, there's no farmer's market. There is none. Now, you get over into Keller on the west side of I-35, there's some. There might be you on the west side of 287, but in this area, there isn't. If we go to the next slide, but there would be the relative location, almost in the center of that triangle. Yes, here's our city map. There's where that farmers market to be proposed to be is the existing 78 acres of community facilities that property that we have. Next slide. And this is just a layout, a site plan done primarily costing to document what we would have out there. Already in speaking with, and whom Ms. Lee knows, Laura Miller at Texas A&M Ag Extension, our AgriLife agent. He says we need to designate a composting site there, which is very important. And we will. There will be some changes here, but I just wanted to show you what we have thus far. We have the pavilion, which is 100 foot by 60 foot, permanent restrooms, parking. On the south end of the drawing, that's 110 spot parking area. And then the gardens office. We will then a raised bed area. Now those are large raised beds. There's an optimum size, and I'm quite sure that's not it. Those are 10 foot by 20 foot each. But nonetheless, there's things Miss Lee can help us with. She's a master gardener. She knows how that plays out. Nonetheless, next slide. I just wanted to show you, this is, you have it in hard copy. This is the support letter from Ms. Courtney Davis, who's director of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Agency of Tarrant County. And next one. Next. And this one is from Precinct 3 Commissioner Gary Fickus. Support letter. On the way is a support letter from our state representative, Nate Chatelain. And that concludes my presentation. What questions do you have of me?
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
the first question is you discussed the comprehensive plan for 2016. That's where this is kind of referenced.
Well, I recall reading that, and I went to it and highlighted those items.
Okay, gotcha. I had a question because on our October 3rd meeting of 2022, it was voted to repeal that comprehensive plan by 3-2. I actually voted against that, but so we're using something that we, as a council, noted that it was not a good plan, quote, and was repealed.
Well, this meeting is not on comp plans, but the plan as a whole wasn't good. But I am picking these points out because they were noted in citizen comment. That's why. So I'm using I'm not ignoring those good parts in it.
Okay, so 2016 is the reference for citizen input for this to drive the community garden.
Well, this is just noted back in 2016 what citizens were saying. But I've made note before that I wasn't resting on that I know myself and others, such as Mayor Pro Tem, knows for a fact, current citizen input is requesting and desiring.
Okay, so there's data to show, or surveys that have been sent out, that's something?
No, absolutely not. We talk with our constituents.
Okay, well, because the last survey I have has a survey from the citizens. It's not even the top 10 for let me just say, I love the idea of a community garden. I love the idea of.
Okay, so if we could focus on this agenda item, that will be good. We can take.
That's what I'm talking about, is the agenda item. So I
Okay.
really like the idea of it. My question is the citizen input. Was there any citizen input that could be provided that show this is something other than the 2016 comp plan that we repealed, saying that this is something valid that the citizens want?
Well, you know what? I rely on the city council and the different boards because they are citizens. You are a citizen.
Right. I talked to someone.
And you talk to your constituents.
Mhm.
You know, we all do. And that you're reflective of their desire.
So planning and zoning is aware of this idea as well, and they're all on board with that?
No,
as
I
a
didn't
board?
take it to planning and zoning.
Okay, you just said that you look at the input from other boards, so I thought with the planning and zoning,
What
they would
is
be
your point?
aware. My question is, where's the data from the citizens that gives the input that this is something that they want? When it's been, for a long time, a rec center, a multi-use center, as a driving desire for our
Well, I
citizens.
haven't got any current survey.
Okay. So no current data from,
I haven't got any current survey.
or data from input?
Any
from,
documented
No
data.
documented, okay, data or input. Okay, that was one of my questions. I'll come back. I'm just gonna make a note of that.
Oh, very good. All right then. Any other questions?
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I just heard when you said that you developed the diagram earlier for costing purposes and that also too, but can we go to the diagram quick? Yes. That one. Have we developed any costing?
Yes.
We have already? Okay, I didn't know if you have.
We
already.
are right at $1.5 million.
1.5. Okay, is this based off of other farmers markets that are in the area based
No,
upon?
there aren't any in the area.
Well, I'm just
That
saying,
is,
well,
this,
I'm looking like
this
Dent-
diagram
Yeah.
and the costing out of the materials and the work that would, for what you see there.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering if it's sufficient or insufficient, because did we look at any other farmers markets? I know Denton has a very big farmers market. I know Keller has a
Well,
farmers market.
regardless whether it's farmer's market or not, it's still roadway parking. It's still a 100-foot by 60-foot covered pavilion, and the restroom facilities and the office space.
I just
those-
did. I just was asking if it was based on.
No, sir. No, sir. We used
So-
construction prices for those prices.
Okay, but we have no basis of this was going to be big enough. We think it might, grow, and we need to expand it.
Oh, I've,
We don't think it's,
it's been,
you
submitted to, Texas A&M, Laura Miller, who's Director of Horticulture, who this type of facility and operation is her expertise. And she said, yes, in fact, she's given one recommendation here in that we need to show a composting area.
Okay, and that's why I was just wondering if there's any.
Oh, no,
any basis
we,
to
the
what we
base-
actually based this off. of.
Basis is no, now
Okay.
we're utilizing that expertise of Texas A&M.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mayor Halsey,
Yeah.
would Texas A&M Agri be the ones officing in those garden offices and running that?
Yes, and they will be our advisor
Advisor?
and program director.
Is there a cost for that to
No.
them? It's free?
It's free.
I wasn't finished asking either. Excuse me. The pavilion, it's open air. I noticed that for the appropriations funding, it's for health and body and soul and spirit. So would we be able to use it, let's say, for outdoor yoga, things like that?
I suspect.
We wouldn't be
Yes.
limited what we could maybe
No.
use it for?
No.
So is this, the 1.5 million, is that what's going into the request from the grant, or is that coming out of Haslett funds?
No, it's going in request for the appropriations. This is not a grant.
Not a grant appropriation, right?
Grants most often, if not always, require that there be matching funds.
Right.
And in this appropriations request, there is no such
No cost. okay.
requirement.
Mayor Halsey, would you elaborate more on why we're meeting a special meeting and the date and timelines of things for this?
Well, one, if the council approves this resolution, that expresses the Congresswoman's office sees that a city council resolution expresses community support, as well as the EDCs expresses community support. I have until March 22nd. In fact, the application forms were just posted today on Congresswoman's website. And we have until March 22nd, which is 10 days, 7 p.m. to get this submitted. And at last Friday, when I asked for this to be called, neither I nor Steve Simcox, who is our attorney on grant, did not know when this would be. In fact, he was very surprised to see that we have till March 22nd. He said he thought we might only have 5 days at that time. So therein lies, I needed the, hopefully the approved resolution from the city council and be ready at any time, to, here's the package.
To follow up on that, so we couldn't actually submit anything until it opened Friday,
That's correct. Well, it opened today.
or today, it opened today, so we couldn't have
That's
met
correct.
earlier regarding this. But I noticed, referring to the letter, that it was sent on February 26th. So that was one of my questions, I guess, was the date, because we met on March 4th, I believe, but we couldn't have discussed it at that time, even though they sent us the information. I was confused on the timeline
March 4th,
with our last city council meeting.
the,
And the letter was sent on February 26th. That's why I didn't know what the
I didn't-
timeline was.
I think we discussed the
council-
2 council meetings before that.
yeah.
An
in
executive, yes,
consultation
on the
with
20th.
Mr. Tim Cox came out, he goes, it'd be good to have, but, so, I didn't know prior to the board meeting. It didn't dawn on me to you yet.
That's fine. Referring to the letter, I did have some questions that I just wanted, I guess, further information on. It said the nearest grocery stores offering a wide variety of fruits and vegetables are several miles away, and that's, I mean, with one across the street, that's not accurate. And then the other part is about low-income neighborhoods. So I'm just not sure how that applies to Haslett's demographic.
This is not very specific to have,
Oh, the letter isn't?
correct.
So, okay.
They see and know that we're serving a larger area.
I think what you said, really, the 54 square miles is really what you're talking about.
Yes,
And, the appropriations, what we're asking for funding can only be used for certain things. And I think that's why you'll see a lot of things in both letters that are repeated. So it's like when you write a grant, you have to state certain things and what's available, what's not available. Because I asked the same thing, I called the mayor yesterday and I said, so, these letters look a lot alike and about the same thing. And he said that's really standard anytime. This isn't a grant, but in grant writing and things like that, appropriation. So you're kind of
When-
following what? I said this isn't a
no,
grant.
Miss Davis, who's more in tune to this probably
Right,
than any
I-
of us, she made that statement on her own. I didn't write,
Right.
did not
No,
write that support
no.
letter myself and say, will
I
you
didn't-
please sign this?
I didn't say that. I said I asked you about it.
Oh,
Yes,
about
sir.
why the two letters
Well,
sound were similar?
Yeah, I asked you
It's
about that.
because when you ask for letters of support from other, say, elected officials to various offices, it's not uncommon. In fact, most all those letters of support will say the same thing. I'll give you an example. When Hassett Parkway was built, there was congressmen, there was senators, there were state reps, state senators, industry letters of support, and almost all of them are identical. So one person wrote that support letter and sent it out. The different entities, they'll read it. They need to change something. They might change a word or two or a sentence. They'll make their own touch to it. Then they'll sign it. But to go ask, Commissioner Gary Fickus, will you write me a support letter for this? And think of it from scratch. Well, I'm sorry. Who's got that? So that's why there's why the similarity is in the letter.
Okay, yeah, thank you. My question was more about how those items didn't apply to Haslett, but I did have a question about the letter too. So, and you mentioned that only certain things, I printed off the 2024 fiscal year appropriations grants, and there's a multi-purpose community center on them. There's life centers, there's 4-H, there's rodeo, so I understand what you were saying about they can only be certain things. I guess my
Right.
concern is this the certain thing that the citizens want?
Well, and also if you go into it deeper, because then I had 72 pages that I went through. But I think a lot of it applies more to rural too. You have
Yes.
to be, and we're not. Sometimes and I asked the mayor about that. Sometimes we're designated rural and sometimes we're not.
And you're right, it was a 72-page document. I only printed the ones that applied to Texas, so you were correct, because I wanted to see what to compare it to. And it's all from the Rural Housing Service, so I did see that connection.
Yeah, Mayor, so first point is, I'm glad you found something in the comprehensive plan that's viable, because the meeting you had with Councilman Marilyn and myself prior, you totally trashed it. So I appreciate you finding something usable in that document, because there was a lot of citizens' input into that, a lot of time and effort. So thank you for pulling something out and using it. Second question, what's the total acres designated right now for this plot?
That's
Yeah.
approximately 6 acres.
Okay. And on the 6 acres, yeah, I took a picture, I'd have that, but I didn't see a total acres on there. Now, is this put into a master plan for the whole project 2025? Do we have a layout of that, or just, are we piecemealing kind of as we go along?
This is step one towards that master plan. Now, has it been master planned? No. I have shown and the council an overall accounting of all the facilities on that 78 acres.
On all the facilities for it? I mean, I've seen one for the new city facilities.
But that answer's no. And this is not, you're not here approving
No.
a
not-
design of this area. This is not what this meeting is about.
Exactly.
Is do you
It's just a
support or
question.
don't this idea of a Haslett farmers market and community teaching garden?
Well, I'm just,
That's
okay.
the question. That's the only question.
Okay, so it gets back to what we just spoke about, add on to this piece, is the designated area we're looking at, this 54 square miles. And obviously, the city of Hazlet has none of the demographics listed in either one of the letters we received from Mr. Fike or the extension agent. So we're gonna build this facility. Now, who's gonna maintain this facility, day in and day out?
Well, Haslett will be responsible for the facilities and the maintenance.
So that's city of Hazlet personnel are gonna maintain it.
Sure.
Okay.
Like mow the grass, things like that.
All right, because, I mean, obviously, we've had some issues in the past with maintaining current city parks. So I'm just wondering, are we gonna compound an effort, adding more that needs to be maintained?
Well, I don't know what issues about the parks are, but
All right, I guess
that's been all
We'll
stepped
bring
up
that up
over
in
the
the
last
next-
several years.
council meeting.
I think we've had problems though, hiring staff in the past, we're still looking for staff.
Hassett has always had problems.
Right,
hiring
well, and
staff,
everybody does.
But
so-
that's improved greatly over the last year.
And then my only other point was what Ms. Lee and has been brought up. Are we gonna put something in that's not gonna generate any sales tax revenue, but take away from current business sales tax revenue?
We spoke about that, and
Who is we?
Miss Lee and I,
Okay, thank you.
and how that actually there's probably a great opportunity here for her and her business. She has direct experience in how these operations run. And, will the city of Haslett want to be the operator of the farmer's market? No. There are people who do that. Miss Lee happens to be one of them that knows how the operation of a farmer's market is, who contacts those vendors, knows which vendors to contact. So we've had brief discussion this afternoon, and we will have more. And one of the things I fully expect Miss Lee would have the Haslett feed and farm market out there and showing presence. And that gives opportunity for her business to have a greater exposure to a wider group of people that would come to this open air market.
I think it would be a valuable resource if we can tap Miss Lee's knowledge and experience in
Oh,
this
absolutely.
ground, because I'm familiar with their operations over in Richland Hills, North Richland Hills, I think it is, over there, plus the one here. And Miss Lee has just been over backwards supporting the city of Hazlet in various events, not only Christmas at the Park, but also the Veterans Memorial down there. So, yes, she wants to be a valuable member to our community and has a wealth of knowledge in doing that. So I want to make sure we're not endangering her business by putting in something that obviously it's a direct competitor, but if she can capitalize on it, then I think we should give her the opportunity to do so.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree on that.
Mayor Holsey, I have one more question looking at the drawing here too. And again, I know this is not approving the drawing or anything like that. It's just trying to get the conceptual idea. Is it our plan to have well service and that to actually irrigate this and provide restrooms and provide, office?
We actually have a water well on the site
On site already?
already.
Okay.
Just a little farther north, you don't see it, but probably less distance than another square of this is the Public Works site. And on the north side of that building is a water well.
Is there a plan, again, I'm going to ask, I think I was trying to look at it earlier, is for any expansion or having to put additional parking? Because 104 spots, I can tell you, I know people fight for spots in some of these farmers markets and they start driving on. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't reached that far out in the future. That'd be a nice problem to have.
Just one comment, Gary, and not part of the resolution, but in regards to the water well, is that treated water? Because I know the water wells in the city of Hazlet pull from our water table. It's got a high concentration of salt in it. And that was one reason years ago we tied in with the city of Fort Worth. So I don't know if that's a current water well that's in use or if it's been tested here lately. But
We
that
don't
was
use
something that needed
any
to
of the
be looked
water
at.
wells anymore. None of those water wells are tied into our system
So
anymore. They were
that's
at
all
one
I'm saying is
time.
that water would need to be tested before we try to utilize it.
But you're right. The Biloxi has a higher level of salt than does the Trinity. And I don't know which well that is drawn from the Trinity or the Biloxi. But removing the salts or lowering the salts is not a difficult task. In fact, that was done for every well in Hazlet. But you're right about that.
Adding on to what Councilmember Ricketts asked, so there will be utilities needed, like electricity and you said water. Are there any other, and then would that electricity be a cost to the city? The same thing with the offices, if that would be a cost?
Yes, it would be billed through the city. But we envision, that the program overall will be sustainable and that it's at least break even. The vendors, they come out and pay a fee per slot.
Yeah,
the-
okay.
Mayor Halsey, I also agree that Ms. Lee should be an important factor in this and a resource for us to use, and that it enhances her business, because I don't want to see it go anywhere. I do have a question. If you can elaborate, I know that ECOM-B met today, and can you share the consensus of that board?
They voted unanimously to approve the resolution.
And when will you be meeting with Board A?
Tomorrow.
So my question is is it a one chance for the monies? Is it annual? What's the timeline? And if it is approved with this specific item, can it be changed, or is that what the money must be used for? My
if the money is awarded, it must be used for this. The appropriation comes once a year. Our advantage is that Kay Granger is our congresswoman with 12th District, and she happens to be chairman of the Congressional Appropriations Committee. Yes, so it's a great opportunity to acquire the funds to build this in whole.
Okay, was there any, did you talk to anybody from the time when we had a farmer's market here previously, 2015, 16, about how successful it was or why it didn't last as?
Why, I know, well, it was successful because I went up to.
Oh, I went there
offer.
too, but
And,
it didn't last very long.
Miss Lee had, she knows it well. One of the bigger problems that they had was vendors not showing regularly. But it was, successful, that it was patronized. And the reason it got, is just the couple that was managing the program that arranged it all. They just got old, and it was more than they could do anymore. And evidently, the city of Haslett didn't reach out to find another company to manage that program. Miss Lee. Wait, can you step up to the mic?
At that time, you guys had already helped us to form and figure our farmers market and to build our business, because that was about 1 year after we purchased the farmers market and transformed it from a feed store to a farmers market, and have changed throughout the years to accommodate the changing and growing city of Haslett. So, I mean,
I would think COVID also had something to do with that too.
I shut down before COVID
Yeah,
ever
okay.
came.
So in regards to the farmer's market, who, I pulled up the procedures and operating guidelines, who checks the permits and the, are
The operation, I'll say the manager of that program that we acquire.
so A&M or
No, it would be, I envision, A&M, they're going to give you, look at these folks. Here's people who will manage that market for you. Here are vendors that you can call on, and here's the program direction as a whole, and they'll be involved in it that way. But the actual manager, that whoever takes this farmer's market as a whole, when they call on a vendor, it'll be on them to check that paperwork. Do they have this, do they have well, there's no tax on food, but if there should be artisan product or anything like that, that could be taxed. Do they
Well,
have their
Mayor-
sales tax permit? Do they have that appropriate paperwork?
Mayor Holtz, I think, didn't we have someone come in and speak to us here probably in the last, I think it was a year, about food services and certain permits that have to be done even
Yes.
for these types of markets?
And that they would have to comply with that.
So would that person be a city of Haslett employee that's
No,
doing that?
no.
No, okay.
It would be, let's say that Miss Annetta Lee ended up being that manager of this farmer's market. I'm just using you as an example. It'd be on Miss Lee, her company, to check each one of these vendors.
And who would compensate her? How would she be compensated for that?
She gets compensated by a take on the vendors that show up.
So she would get a percentage of the vendor's costs, and then the rest would go to Haslett?
Haslett.
And was there a cost in coming up with this site plan, or was that any money on the city for these plans to be put together?
Well, the cost of my time and David Rogers' time,
Yours and David Rogers?
we
Okay.
did the drawings.
So I guess how long what would be the timeline of finding someone to run it, to be a manager, to work in the
Well,
office?
I think you're getting ahead of yourself.
I just-
Right now, I'm asking you in this resolution, do you support this idea of a farmer's market and a teaching garden?
So my concerns, I guess, would be that I'd be supporting something that doesn't have a master plan, that could be detrimental to our businesses, that there's no demographic data to support, and the citizens haven't been asked.
Okay.
Those are some of my major concerns. Even though the idea is not something I'm against, it's just the execution is just asking for money and then hope it works.
Mayor Holsey, we also had this conversation about staffing and the cost to the city. But just because we pass this resolution, you relate to me, does not mean that we have to do it. It's just to get it submitted in time,
That's right.
correct?
I mean,
So we can always change our mind.
could
So we would have
decide-
time to investigate all of that before we would accept it, correct?
I won't say that
Well,
investigate all of that. We
It's a
can-
work in process
it's a-
because you don't know what you need until you get involved in the process. It's the details, and you don't know the details until you do it. So, you know.
So all of you understand, when did you approve this attorney firm?
The 20th.
Okay, and it was, after that, he goes, hey, this is coming up.
Right.
You can jump on this now. Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, I haven't had a year to plan this thing. I've had a couple, well, let's go after this thing, and let's do this plan, let's account for everything, and let's ask all and not shortchange it, the funds to build it 100%.
Which is what amount that we're asking for, or do they do that?
That's what we're asking for, is 100% funding.
Which is how much, is what I'm asking.
Right now, we're at $1.5 million.
$1.5 million.
And it might grow between now and the 22nd. Because I'm not, last thing I want to do is submit for something and we're, $500,000 short. So.
So how could our resolution be for asking for it in 1.5 and then it goes to them for more than that?
Say it again.
You're saying that if we approve this resolution,
You're not approving a dollar value.
okay, so it could change. The amount is not in the resolution, so it could be,
You're not approving a dollar value of anything.
right, so
You're only approving do you support the idea or not?
with no idea of the cost, 1.5 or more is what we'd be asking for.
We're not approving a cost, a number, there's no number. We're
Right, we're
just
only approving the asking
saying
for the
that we're
funds.
interested in doing this, that there's support for this.
You're not approving to ask for funds. Do you support this idea?
Okay, I thought, I'm confused then, because I thought we were asking for this to be sent to the Appropriations Committee for funding.
It will be. It will be.
I guess the question will be, before the application is submitted to Ms. Kay Granger's office, will this come back before City Council for
No,
review?
no, it won't.
So I think
I don't think I'll have that opportunity.
I think that's what Councilman Morrow is asking is, once that gets put together and before it's presented, will council have any notification of the dollar amount on the requisition?
Yeah, I'll send you an email. Here's where
That's-
we landed on this project.
I think that's what, I don't want to put words in her mouth. I think that's what she's just getting at. Is, will we actually see it before it gets submitted? I know we're not approving the dollar amount here. I get that.
And I'm not asking you to approve a dollar amount. It's that between, city staff, inclusive of city engineering, and we have current construction prices. That's what we are basing all of this on. And such as the people who provide these, such as a pavilion, called, several different manufacturers. How much?
I guess one question, is there a clause, if this goes to the appropriations and you've asked for $1.5 million, we find in the details that it's actually going to cost closer to $3 million. Is there a clause in the contract to be able to send the money back, or are we going to have to readdress the other $1.5 million by a different means?
I don't know what happens when you blow it by that much. I don't.
We've seen things happen with the, details, and something happens and you need to have a whole
Especially
new.
if you build
yeah.
airplanes.
I've seen it multiple times, so I guess that's the key. Is there a clause in there that if we find that it is not feasible at any time, do we return the money back to the appropriations?
If I would imagine if we got in, God forbid, something like that happened, I don't see it. We go, oh, Lord have mercy. This thing's not $1.5 million, it's $3 million. Well, we just, we don't spend any of it, we send it back.
So that was going to follow up with what Ms. Burrell said, is that if we choose not to use this, we just say thank you for
Or even
approving
before, I don't know when the timeline is as they approve or disapprove the request. You can withdraw.
But if we don't withdraw and they do honor it, then at that point we could come together again and decide if that's what we really want to use the money for.
You have to use the money for that. You don't get to
But I
build a
thought you said we didn't have to
basketball
use
court.
it. We could say, we could refuse it. You send it back, okay.
You just
So,
send it back.
right, I didn't mean use it for something else, but we could choose not to use it at all.
Send it back. If you see it costs a couple $1 million extra dollars, so we don't have $1 million. Send it back.
In fact, there's a question in there that says, okay, if this is not funded 100% by appropriations, will there be sources of other funds? And the answer is no. It's, either you fund this or you don't. If they'll fund it, we'll build it. If they don't, we won't.
Mayor Halsey, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution in support of the Farmers Market and Community Teaching Gardens Pavilion, and the resolution included in the funding request submitted to Congresswoman Kay Granger for congressional appropriation funds.
Well, the motion is made to approve the resolution in support of a farmers market and community teaching gardens pavilion, and the resolution to be included in the funding request being submitted to Congresswoman Kay Granger. Is there a second?
I second that, Mayor Halsey.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I would just like to repeat one more time for the record that I feel this could be harmful to local businesses. There's not current citizen input or demographics to support, and there's not a master plan. So lots of questions I still have.
Any other discussion? All right, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's 3-4, all opposed. One opposed. Motion passes 3-1. Thank you, council. All right. That concludes our business for this evening. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor Halsey, I move to adjourn.
Motion is made to adjourn. Second?
I second that.
There's the second. All in favor? It's unanimous, and the time is 6:22 p.m. Thank you for responding so quickly on a special meeting.